Global humanitarian aid. The supply chain is breaking. Freight costs have nearly doubled for Sudan and Chad. UNHCR has only 23% of the money it needs. Lebanon. A ceasefire exists on paper only. Since April 17th, 380 people have been killed. 1 million people are displaced. Help is critically underfunded. Cambodia. The opposition leader was convicted again. Kem Sokha received 27 years. 33 others were also jailed. The United Nations says this violates international human rights law. The United Nations issued a new warning. Digital systems can fail. And when they do, entire societies stop. The risk of a digital disaster is not if, it is when. The world is changing. Workers are not keeping up. Only 16% of adults trained last year. Without action, inequality will grow much worse. May 3rd, World Press Freedom Day. This year alone, at least 14 journalists have been killed. Press freedom is at its lowest point in 25 years. Now everything you need to know, briefly and to the point. This is Human Rights Weekly. Subscribe to our channel. And now, let's begin. This week, the UN Refugee Agency gave an important warning. It is about the global humanitarian supply chain. The Middle East conflict is disrupting how aid reaches people, and the people who suffer most are already living in emergencies.
Rising transport, food, and fuel costs disproportionately affect people who are already living in emergencies, including millions of refugees and displaced people who are among the hardest hit, while also reducing the ability of aid agencies to deliver timely assistance amid severe funding constraints.
Ships can no longer use the Red Sea route safely. They must travel around Africa, making journeys much longer. Air freight capacity has dropped from 97% to 77%.
For some shipments, costs have more than doubled, such as transport costs for relief items from UNHCR's global stockpiles in Dubai to our Sudan and Chad operations, which have increased from around 927,000 to over 1.87 million.
Every dollar lost to higher transport costs is a dollar that does not help a refugee. UNHCR is calling on donors to increase contributions urgently and on all parties to protect humanitarian routes.
UNHCR's operations globally are only 23% out of the 8.5 billion that are needed. Means that each and every dollar that is spent additionally on transportation is a dollar less that we can provide to people forced to flee on the ground.
A ceasefire was announced in Lebanon, but the ceasefire is not holding. Since April 17th, violence has continued and people are dying.
Just to recall that since the 17th of April, at least 380 people have been killed despite the ceasefire, and widespread destruction continues across large parts of the country.
380 people killed despite a ceasefire. Homes destroyed, no electricity, no water.
Today, 1 in 5 people in Lebanon, around 1 million people, are affected by displacement.
The IFRC emergency appeal is in an even worse situation. Only 12.5% of the needed funds have arrived.
In a normal world, Red Cross volunteers would not need flak jackets or helmets in ambulances. The emblem should protect them. But this is not a normal world. In Lebanon, Youssef and Hassan were killed while saving lives.
Youssef and Hassan, 2 volunteers killed while saving lives. The international community must fund the emergency response now. Today we turn to Southeast Asia, to Cambodia. This week, a court upheld the conviction of the main opposition leader. His name is Kem Sokha. He led the Cambodia National Rescue Party. The court sentenced him to 27 years.
UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk is deeply concerned by the upholding of the conviction of Cambodia's former opposition leader, Kem Sokha, and the convictions of 33 other opposition activists, human rights defenders, and social media users.
Not only Kem Sokha, 33 other people were also convicted. Human rights defenders, journalists, social media users, all of them spoke out. All of them were punished for it.
These convictions and sentences are clearly inconsistent with international human rights law and risk further deepening the already considerable considerable, chilling effects of broad, vaguely worded criminal laws.
The laws used are broad and deliberately vague. They can be used against anyone who speaks out. The UN demands that all convictions be quashed. It demands that Kem Sokha and all convicted individuals be released. Cambodia is a reminder. Political persecution happens in countries that look stable. Now we turn to a warning that affects all of us. The International Telecommunication Union and the UN Disaster Risk Office held a press conference. Digital systems are becoming more fragile. When they fail, entire societies can collapse.
Digital systems have become so embedded in our lives that actually we barely notice them until they actually fail. Failures can then escalate into major crises with the most vulnerable experiencing the worst impacts.
Power, telecommunications, banking, all connected. When one fails, the others follow. Power fails, telecom fails, ATMs stop, cash unavailable, markets collapse. 80% of disaster impact is not the first event. It is the cascade.
The risk of a digital disaster is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So we better start preparing for it now.
Governments must build early warning systems, backup systems, response teams. The people who suffer most are always the poorest. They have no backup plan. Technology is changing work very fast. Artificial intelligence, automation, whole jobs disappearing. The International Labour Organization published a major new report this week. Are workers prepared for what is coming?
Skills are becoming the defining factor in how people access opportunities and navigate the labor market. Globally, only 16% of adults report participating in training each year, a strikingly low figure given the scale of change we are facing.
The report also addressed care workers, a growing global need. Today, 85 million people work in care. By 2050, the world will need 158 million.
If we fail to act, these changes are likely to widen existing inequalities, leaving many workers farther and farther behind.
The ILO calls on governments to invest in lifelong training systems, support workers throughout their lives, not just at the start of their careers. Our final story comes on a very significant date. May 3 is World Press Freedom Day. And this year the news is very alarming. The Reporters Without Borders released their 2026 annual index. Press freedom is at its lowest point in 25 years.
Media workers are being bombed in their cars, abducted from their offices, silenced behind bars, and dismissed from their jobs.
Bombed in their cars, abducted from their offices, silenced behind bars. These are not metaphors. These are real events happening right now.
This year alone, at least 14 journalists have been killed.
14 people who went to work to tell the truth. 14 people who will not come home. Without journalists, there are no witnesses. Without witnesses, crimes against humanity go unrecorded. Without records, there is no accountability. The UN calls on all governments to protect journalists. Stop using the law as a weapon against truth. A world without press freedom is a world without accountability. Today we covered 6 stories. Aid supply chains, Lebanon, Cambodia, digital risk, hacker skills, and press freedom. These are all real events, all documented by the United Nations this week. Human rights matter everywhere, not only in countries we know well. If this program helped you understand the world better, please subscribe. Share this video with someone who needs to know. This is Human Rights Weekly. We will see you next week.